From the office of the Chairman of the Elections Commission, this is a message to all election staff at all polling sites. This is a very important message for poll workers and presiding officers regarding important procedures to follow on election day. We will first tell you about the registration roll and voter registration cards.
Registration roll. Each magistrate and presiding officer should make sure that the proper registration roll is available in time at each particular polling station for use on polling day. This means that the registration roll of any particular polling station should bear the same country code and the same registration station code of those of that polling station.
Voter registration card. When a voter presents his or her voter registration card for voting, look for his or her roll number on the card and compare it with the corresponding roll number on the registration roll. Do not compare the printed serial number on the card and on the voter registration record.
Punched voter registration cards. Several cases of this have been reported to the Commission, whereby voter registration cards issued to some applicants for registration have already been punched. This is wrong.
In order not to deprive such voter of the right to vote, the Commission is inviting these voters to report personally to the presiding officer of the polling stations where they register themselves, not later than Friday, July 18, 1997 at 6 p.m. and produce their punch cards.
These presiding officers, in conjunction with the IECOM, should indicate the abbreviations PC. This means punch card against the roll number of each such voter on the registration roll and initial such entry so that when the voter comes to vote on polling day, he or she may be allowed to vote even though his or her voter registration card has already been punched. Such cards should not be punched again on July 19.
Before the opening of the poll at 7 in the morning on Saturday, July 19, the presiding officer is also advised to inform the party or alliance representative of such facts for the sake of transparency.
This completes this advisory on registration roll and voter registration card. Magistrates, presiding officers, and poll workers, please stay tuned for further election information from the Independent Elections Commission. From the office of the Chairman of the Elections Commission, this is a message to all election staff at all polling sites. This is a very important message for poll workers and presiding officers regarding important procedures to follow on election day. We want to tell you about what you need to do before issuing a ballot paper to a voter.
Before issuing a ballot paper to a voter, indelible ink should be applied to the cuticle of the voter's right thumb, staining both the nail and part of the skin.
Please use the following procedure.
1. Wipe thumb clean with cloth dusted provided.
2. Apply the ink to the cuticle between the thumbnail and the flesh, that is the skin.
3. Tell the voter to wave or shake their thumb for 30 seconds to dry the stain or the ink.
Before issuing a ballot paper to a voter, his or her voter registration card must be punched.
Before issuing a ballot paper to a voter, the ballot must be stamped on the back with the official polling station stamp. The stamp must be applied at the top of the back of the ballot paper.
Before issuing a ballot paper to a voter, you must not put any writing or mark on the front of the ballot paper.
This completes this advisory on what to do before issuing a ballot paper to vote. Magistrates, presiding officers, and poll workers, please stay tuned for further election information from the Independent Elections Commission. From the Office of the Chairman of the Elections Commission, this is a message to all election staff at all polling sites. This is a very important message for poll workers and presiding officers regarding important procedures to follow on election day. We want to tell you about the ballot papers issued to each polling site.
Ballot papers. You have been issued with 6 or 7 books, each containing 100 ballot papers numbered in order.
You should start with the booklet bearing the lowest serial number and work in the ascending order of the serial numbers.
This will help you in accounting for the number of the ballot papers received when completing your tally sheet at the close of the poll.
You will receive 600 ballot papers. Some presiding officers may receive an additional book of 100 ballot papers. The serial numbers of these book ballots will not be in order with the serial number of the last ballot paper of the previous books.
In such case, great care should be taken when recording in the tally sheet the serial numbers of the ballot papers received, for you will have to record 2 different series of ballot paper numbers.
The second set of ballot paper serial numbers should be written under the boxes provided for the first set of ballot paper serial numbers.
This will give you a total of 100 ballot papers.
This completes this advisory on ballot papers. Magistrates, presiding officers, and poll workers, please stay tuned for further election information from the Independent Elections Commission. From the Office of the Chairman of the Independent Elections Commission, this is a message to all election staff at all polling sites. This is a very important message for poll workers and presiding officers regarding important procedures to follow on election day. We want to tell you about what you need to do when counting votes and verifying the validity of ballot papers.
Counting of votes. When counting the votes, the presiding officer or poll worker handling the ballot paper must not hold in his or her hands any pen, pencil, or eraser.
No one must smoke in the counting station. This rule must be strictly adhered to.
Validity of ballot papers. A ballot paper shall be rejected in the following circumstances.
If there is no mark in favor of any party or alliance on the front of the ballot paper.
If the voter has voted for more than one party or alliance.
If there is any writing, signature, or words on the ballot paper.
If the position of the mark on the ballot paper is such that it is not clear as for which party or alliance the voter intended to vote.
When deciding upon the validity of a ballot paper, the following principles should be observed.
A cross, that is an X, or a tick, like a correction mark, or a thumbprint or any mark which clearly indicated the intention of the voter is acceptable.
The mark may not be in a box provided. As long as the mark is clearly in the roll of a party or alliance, the vote may be counted.
Any writing on the ballot paper will nullify the ballot paper. Examples are words, initials, signatures, or the voter's roll number.
This completes this advisory on counting of votes and validity of ballot papers. Magistrates, presiding officers, and poll workers, please stay tuned for further election information from the Independent Elections Commission. From the Office of the Chairman of the Independent Elections Commission, this is a message to all election staff at all polling sites. This is a very important message for poll workers and presiding officers regarding important procedures to follow on election day. We want to tell you about what you need to do when issuing a ballot paper to a voter.
When issuing the ballot paper to a voter, inform the voter that he or she may mark the ballot paper with a cross or an X, or a tick like a correction mark, or affix his or her thumbprint against the party or alliance of their choice.
In the case the voter opts to use a thumbprint, then he or she should be directed to a voting screen where a thumbprint pad is available, or he or she may use the thumbprint pad available on the poll workers table.
Tell them to be careful not to smear the ballot paper.
The voter must be instructed to fold his or her ballot paper inwards, lengthwise, and then in half after voting, so that the cross, ink, or thumbprint cannot be seen.
The voter must be instructed to show the official stamp mark on the back of the ballot paper to the poll worker before placing the ballot in the ballot box.
This completes this advisory on what to do before issuing a ballot paper to vote. Magistrates, presiding officers, and poll workers, please stay tuned for further election information from the Independent Elections Commission. From the Office of the Chairman of the Elections Commission, this is a message to all election staff at all polling sites. This is a very important message for poll workers and presiding officers regarding important procedures to follow on election day.
IECOM personnel, domestic observers, and local staff of organizations supporting the election process, the European Union, PAE, UNIMIL, IFES, international observers groups, and the UN, the police and local media are allowed to vote in the area of their assignment. To vote, these persons must produce their employee's official identification card and their voter registration card. Please note that presiding officers are to mark the ballot box with the county name, polling site name, and polling site number. The black marker pen must be used to do this.
Magistrates, presiding officers, and poll workers, please stay tuned for further election information from the Independent Elections Commission.